In reference to the recent episodes on Jesus' healings and exorcisms, I finally broke free from a 30-year addiction to pornography, yet I feel I am being attacked psychologically by evil spirits. Can I possibly have a diabolical obsession attached to me? What should I do? Thank you. And this is from Billy. So there's a couple of words in there that we probably have to pull apart and understand when we talk about evil spirits and also diabolical obsession. So why don't you take that apart?
Okay, you know, an obsession is kind of the second level of, demonic presence, if I can put it that way. The first is called infestation, and that basically is like a house haunting, but it's not a house haunting by a ghost, a human ghost. It's a house haunting by, a demonic spirit, which is very different. That would, require a blessing of the house, and sometimes a full blessing or of the house itself. An obsession is the second level. An obsession is two levels away from what might be called a possession. And obsession means that the devil is kind of constantly going at you, right? It's not an oppression. An oppression is the next level up from an obsession. The obsession really is that the evil spirit is kind of moving into your interior life, is trying to get you to re-engage your old habits, is really working assiduously to make you falter, and he's doing it with a kind of an elevated presence. He's making his presence known. It's me doing it, he's kind of saying. And of course, he's out of the closet with his temptations and his provocative kinds of suggestions. So that's an obsession. An oppression is the next level up. That's where the devil starts doing things that really could even harm you, or he's trying to, make contact with you in a way that's going to scare you, that's going to, he's going to try and do something to your body, or, this is much, much rarer than an obsession is, right? So, again, he's kind of pushing you around or manifesting himself in the room, and then, compelling you to do certain kinds of things, but yet it's still not a possession. A possession is the ultimate level, and that basically is where a demonic spirit is trying to take custody over your body, and that's a very different thing. Now remember, the devil can never take custody over your soul. The devil can never get in and take over your human freedom. God will not permit it. So you'll notice that most people who are possessed. And by the way, possession is very, 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 very rare.
Right.
But most people who are possessed, most of the time they look perfectly normal. It's only when the spirit manifests itself, which is, maybe, occasionally, during a 1 week period, could manifest itself once or twice. But when he does, it's very clear that he's manifesting himself. But he's not taking over your soul. He's pushing your soul out of the way and speaking through your body and trying to make it seem as if he has more control over you than he actually does. Yes, he's pushed aside your soul. Yes, he's making your body say things that are not really you saying them. He, of course, has his demonic knowledge, so he can basically assess whether or not, like for example, he knows whether you committed a certain sin, or if an exorcist comes into the room, he can confront him with things about himself that no person would know, but a demonic spirit might know. So, the temperature of the room drops down. Normally, a person goes into a trance-like state with the eyes rolling back and so forth. This doesn't happen during oppression and obsession. And as I said, a possession, that requires a full-blown exorcism. And so, essentially, the other two do not. The other two can be rectified by deliverance ministry or by a blessing, for example, of a house in the case of a haunting. Now, just going back to your question, Billy, the main thing is, yes, it could be an obsession. And if it is an obsession, then what we would be dealing with at this juncture is you would want probably first to say these deliverance prayers, and I can make available if you let EWTN know, or just give me a phone call. I can send you these delivery prayers, which can help, and you can start that for yourself. If it persists in a way that is really disturbing, and so forth, there are always people in your diocese. There are some priests in your diocese, and there are some lay people in your diocese who do have deliverance ministries that they can connect with, and they can help to try and move the diabolical spirit along. But for all intents and purposes, an obsession is not something you just got to fight it off.
Right.
I mean, poor Padre Pio and the cure of ours, they were never able to overcome, both obsession and oppression throughout their lives. I mean, God decided that was going to be one of their crosses, and that they were going to fight a demonic spirit for the rest of humanity, and they did. And so it's not one of these things where you want to worry. Certainly the devil doesn't have control over you. Certainly you are not going to hell because he's bothering you. Certainly God has not abandoned you. The main thing is to say those delivery prayers and for yourself, and normally that kind of stuff comes under control. And basically, of course, the demonic spirit's going to return and try and bother you and try and create doubts in you and do these kinds of things. Don't let him have any credit at all. Don't speak to him. The only thing to address to him is, in the name of Jesus, be gone. In the name of Jesus, get out of here. He's not in you. He's bugging you. And of course, the here means the room or the place where you are. And just say, and use the name of Jesus. But the delivery prayers are very good delivery prayers. And then go to bed in peace. He'll try and bug you and obsess you and try and get you to rethink about those pornographic images and things of that nature, and just don't succumb to it. The main thing with temptation is to nip it in the bud immediately.
Well, wouldn't you
so
say,
as it kind of arises, you just say no.
And like any other real kind of addictive kind of thing, as much as one might be able to break free of the practice, one is always in some ways still addicted and kind of like without recovering. And so obviously there's always going to be those temptations. And one of the best ways in the old days, the nuns used to tell us, avoid occasion of sin. Do the best you can if you have weaknesses in some place to try to avoid the places where those things might pop up, which is obviously very difficult in our kind of technological world where these things are kind of thrown in front of you. Let me pick up on one thing you said before we move into the topic for today's show. You said that the spirit may be there, the demonic spirit, and only manifests itself at certain times. So when it's not manifesting, where is it? It might be in you, right? And it is in that, not in you, but in the person, but it's just simply not manifest. No, I think, Doug, you're on the wrong side of the equation. No wonder I broke my wrist.
Yeah, that's right. But honestly, it's one of those things where the devil, may be inside, but you don't notice it. Only when the eyes roll back and the trance begins, and of course the different voice ensues, then something is amiss. But like I said, it's very, very rare.